Thank you, Mr. President. I rise to speak on an issue that will be of concern to all South Australians who value fairness and equality. That is the growing discrimination and vilification of the trans community in our state. In recent times, we've seen an escalation of anti-trans rhetoric, particularly driven by the One Nation political party, but other political parties have gotten in on the act too, of course. Several months ago now, One Nation leader Pauline Hanson kicked off a transphobic campaign when she suggested that her party would stand up to the trans insurgency, and I quote, "The idea that LGBTI people are somehow leading an insurgency to presumably overthrow heterosexuality is utterly ridiculous and offensive. Trans people and LGBTI people more broadly don't want to replace heterosexuality. All they want is to live authentic lives without discrimination from the state." In framing a minority group that is so often the target of bigotry and discrimination as threatening aggressors, Senator Hanson is drawing from a rule book that is used by the far right throughout the world. We've seen this approach in the United States, and now, regrettably, we're seeing it being imported into our politics. We shouldn't be surprised, of course, Mr. Acting President. Pauline Hanson's political bread and butter is demonising people for being different and whipping up hatred and fear. Let's not forget, this is the politician who wore a burqa into the National Parliament as part of some ugly stunt designed to ridicule Australians of the Islamic faith. Well, in this Parliament, the Honourable Cory Bernardi has introduced a private member's bill that seeks to deny access to puberty blockers for trans children. This is a denial of basic health care that would have long-term consequences for trans people in our state. I hope it is rejected by this Parliament. It's telling to note that when the Honourable Member was in the Federal Parliament, he ran a ridiculous fear campaign against the Safe Schools program, suggesting that this was part of some recruitment drive being run by the LGBTI community to indoctrinate children, I believe was the phrase he used. This seems to be based on the absurd belief that somehow talking about differences in sexuality or gender identity is going to recruit kids. Give me a break. Anyone with a basic understanding of human sexuality would tell you what nonsense that is. I grew up in a straight home, Mr. President, but I'm still as gay as Christmas. And who could forget his suggestion that same-sex marriage was akin to people having relationships with their pets? I don't think I'll ever forget that particular contribution to public discourse. This from the so-called gayest political party in Australia? Really? Did Barnaby send Cory the memo? It's a real shame that despite being on quite a journey since then, being in more parties than a Kardashian, the Honourable Member's views haven't changed and he has doubled down. Last week I was horrified to see the Honourable Member take footage of school children rallying on the steps of this Parliament, referring to them as losers and incels. He even referred to one young person as a tranny. This is the content being posted about children by a member of this Parliament. Someone who aspires to be the alternative premier of this state. He says he wants to be the leader of the opposition. I think members of the South Australian community deserve better from their elected representatives, and quite frankly, that conduct was disgusting and unbecoming. The Greens have been contacted by parents who are distressed and concerned to see young people being depicted in this way. Now is not the time, Mr. Acting President, to be caving into this right-wing crap, and we need all sides of politics to stand together on this. In this environment, I was very disappointed to learn that the Malinowskis government won't be proceeding with offering trans health care through the SA public system, citing skyrocketing wait lists. I find that to be a cop-out. Why should trans people be asked to carry the can for Labor's inability to get our public health system under control? I hope that this decision is reconsidered, and indeed, in my experience, the Health Minister Blair Boyer has been a strong advocate for the LGBTI community. He's been a strong ally for our community, and I will be urging him to look again at this. Now, the sad thing, of course, about this campaign being waged by One Nation is this is a distraction from the issues that most South Australians care about. Most South Australians really don't care who uses which door to enter the bathroom or who gets to participate in which sporting team. They just want government to focus on policies that make their lives better. They're not interested in culture wars and the politics of division. The trans community are no different. They have the same aspirations as other South Australians to lead good lives without living in fear of persecution or discrimination. One Nation is focusing on the wrong 1%. Rather than obsessing over the small portion of the community who are trans, they should be turning their attention to the mega-rich who are actually driving inequality in our society. They're out of control at the moment. That's the insurgency we should be focusing on. South Australia has a proud tradition of LGBTI law reform and championing human rights and social progress. I urge all members of this place to defend that legacy and stand together in rejecting the ugly politics of division.